Holy catfish. Is that for real? That's huge. Man. Now remember to stay tuned at the end of this video. You see a bunch of good pictures, you know, good fish pictures, all right? Some nice sized fish. Don't turn it off unless you see these. Enjoy. Carlton with Carlton's Travel Adventure, another beautiful day in Medellin. Okay guys, so a lot of you guys who are into fishing have been asking me for a long time about doing a video on fishing, okay? So some background, just for fishing guys, not everyone's into fishing. I'm an excellent fisherman. I'm not bragging, but I have proof of it, right? Fishing since I was a little kid, right? Grew up in Hackensack, New Jersey, even from the islands, in the country. I fished from a little kid, I know 10, 11, 12, came to the US, always lived close to the ocean. This is driving me nuts living in Medellin. It is, so far from the ocean. The farthest I've ever lived from the ocean is right here, my entire life, okay? That's why I say I'm looking to go to Cartagena next year, if I can make it, all right? With all this, restriction, I've been able to look, going a couple of trips and look in Cartagena. Now, I used to take so many pictures of fishing that I got tired of it and stopped taking pictures. I just stopped taking them, I'm gonna show you a few of them, but I don't take them anymore. When I got divorced, I left a bunch of stuff on my hard drive and everything else in my computer in Houston with my ex-wife, and I went back to get my stuff. I just didn't even thought about picking them up. I was moving around a little bit and I just never got them, okay? So I'm not gonna have a ton of pictures, especially in my big old 80-pound yellowfin tunas that I caught off Galveston, 10 hours off Galveston, okay? But, and I've caught, I think it's like a 10-foot, it's a big old shark, well over an 8, 9-foot shark once. But anyway, so a little background. Grew up in Hackensack, New Jersey, in the US part, I used to, go to Hackensack River, the dirty, nasty Hackensack River, rode my bicycle down here 2, 3, 4 miles and fish for carps and all kind of nasty stuff. Never ate them, the two back in. When I got my driver's license, I used to go upstate New York to, some of you guys might have heard of 7 Mile Drive, a lot of beautiful lakes up there, upstate New York, and I fish up there, pickerel, trout, different things. And then all of a sudden I started going to this Jersey Shore, all the way down the Jersey Shore to fish for, big bluefish, weak fish. Back then, weak fish were huge. With the 5, 10-pound weak fish and bluefish. Did a lot of that stuff in New Jersey. Went out to Long Island to a place called the Mud Hole, I think it was called, and go out and catch some big-ass bluefish that were up to 20 pounds. Remember those? You catch 4 or 5 of those for the nighttime fishing in a deep hole. I mean, you're exhausted after 4 or 5 20-pound bluefish. That's the early days. Okay. Moved to Florida, and I'm telling you, man, back in the early 80s, I moved to Florida in 87, went to grad school, and then I moved to West Palm Beach, and man, fishing was great back then. Wasn't many people there, not as many, boats and so forth. So I used to go out there. I had my first boat back then, go offshore to a couple of reefs, close reef and the far reef, and man, fishing was great. You go out with I've had 4 boats, right, in my life. And started with dumpy looking boats, then new boats, 1 new boat. And you go to the first reef off Palm Beach and just kill them, back then. Snappers, groupers, back then kingfish, all kind of stuff. Dolphins come in close. Then the second reef about 120 foot. Do that and go off, or troll offshore, So I started fish the inlet for snook and so forth. Fish a lot in Palm Beach. Then I started fishing all over the state, okay? From Jacksonville down to Key West, to the West Coast, Madeira Beach, the middle grounds. You go to Madeira Beach and take the boat, go out there for 8 hours on a weekend, and you go out Friday night or afternoon, about the boat left about 7, I think, Friday p.m., come back Sunday morning. And you go out there, fishing was phenomenal out there. Phenomenal. I'm just giving you a background, okay? Phenomenal out there, Then I started going to the Keys. with some buddies. I got some brothers out of Miami in a Mahogany Fishing Club, okay? And we'd go rent these 40-foot boats. This old man, forgot his name down in the Keys. He had about a fleet of about 6 or 7 of these boats. 6 guys on a boat. Sometimes we'll rent 2 or 3 boats. We'll go out there, troll on the way out to the Tortugas, Marquesas, and just load up on fish for 3-4 nights. I mean, we come back with a fishing box full of fish. I mean, full. Remember anchoring up on the spot for snapper, and you'd get back then get some snappers that were 4 pounds, 5 pounds. Get them all night from when you anchor to the next morning. You're catching snappers all night. And over the years it got worse and worse and worse, but there's still great fishing in the Keys, okay? And then I started going to Alaska, Sitka, Alaska, for halibut. Love halibut fishing, and king salmon, and yellow-eyed rockfish, and rock bass. A lot of good fishing in Sitka, Alaska. Nothing like those big halibuts, man. Biggest one was 96 pounds. Good fight, but those small ones, 50-pounders, are the best one to eat, okay? I love fishing in Alaska. Did that trip, I think it's 3 times, okay? And then you can flash freeze the fish, bring them back with you, bring about 100-pound, 250-pound bags. They'll stay frozen until you get them home, put them in the freezer. I have an extra freezer in my garage, and give some friends some, and you ate fish for a long time. I'm always fishing, always got fish in the freezer, in the garage, and inside, And then I moved to Houston, and I got another boat, a brand new boat. Here's the picture of the boat I had in Houston. I bought it from when I was living in Orlando, and I would go over to Port Canaveral to fish. I bought this boat here, 18-foot 17-foot Palm Beach, just a small 50 horsepower Yamaha on the back, because it was more a bay boat, inshore fishing, for redfish and stuff in inshore by Titusville. But on a flat day on Saturday, this baby's going offshore with me. I took a lot of risk, I took it out to Port Canaveral, especially when cobia run is here. I go off, and I would go offshore for cobia. I've been as far as 25 miles offshore in that little 17-footer and 50 horsepower on it. 25, almost 30 miles offshore, Get kingfish, get cobia. Biggest cobia is probably about a 45-pounder. By myself in the boat, it's very risky, but when I want to fish, I go fish. I like to fish, okay? When I lived in Orlando, when I couldn't go on the boat when it was rough, I went on the party boats out of Port Canaveral, and I caught, it's actually a picture where was in the boat there in Port Canaveral, the party boat, head boat. I caught 2 big old black groupers, in the 50-pound range, and I got them on light tackle, 25-pound spinner test line, 25-pound test line, a 50-pound leader, 50-plus pound black grouper, Lucky to get them when it was off the bottom, right? So the picture of me with those fish were actually, when I left, was actually still in the boat, And someone said it might have been a record for 25-pound test line, but I didn't feel like getting certified and all that stuff done, right? But didn't matter. I'm not fishing for records anyway, okay? Then when I was in Orlando, I got articles written about me twice in the Sentinel when I caught those big fish. They interviewed me. A friend called them and sent them pictures of the fish, and they interviewed me. They got me twice on I think like a half-page article about me and the fact that I'm a big light tackle fisherman in Sentinel, okay? When I lived in Orlando, I was in when I was in West Palm Beach, I was in Florida Sportsman magazine about 6-7 times, with various fish pictures and articles and so forth. So, I don't have them anymore, but you can look them up, you might see them, all right? Okay, so when I moved to Houston, I bought this brand new boat I think by somewhere in Port Canaveral area. And then I brought it with me to Houston, brand new, it's almost brand new because I keep my boat in great conditions, So I go in the Houston Ship Channel, and man, the fishing was just phenomenal. And I fished all the way up the river, phenomenal for trout, look at these redfish, big old redfish, sheep's head. You can go load up a sheep's head. I mean, sometimes it gets probably 50 sheep's head for the day. You're allowed to keep 5. I didn't say I keep 20. I said you can catch 50 of them if you wanted to when they're spawning, you know. And certain time of year, those big redfish would come in to spawn in October, I think, September, October. You get these big, I mean, huge 40-pounders. I never ate them. I throw them back in, but you gotta be careful. If you fight them too long on light tackle, like 25-pound, 30-pound test line, then they fight so hard, take an hour to revive them, and they just die. Okay, they're so exhausted. So it's best to just bring them in a 50-pound test, haul them in fast as you can, then revive them and release them. You know, my neighbor, is the wife of a Jamaican doctor, radiologist, got to know me a little bit, wanted me to take him fishing one day, and the first day I took him fishing, put him on this 40-pound black drum. Check this out. The guy's so excited, took him a while to bring it in. He blew it up and put it in his house. He probably still has it in his house. I think he moved to Ohio when his wife moved to a new hospital. 40-pound black drum. I got one, put him on one. Okay, he was so excited about it, you know. And then I started going offshore off East Galveston. The party boats that go 10 hours out to the deep rigs, right? 3,000 foot of water. And they do have deep water rigs that far out, okay? And because it's so dark out there, it's about a 10-hour ride to get out there. And you go up current to the rig, because the rigs have lights at night, you know, it attracts a fish, smaller fish and attracts a bigger fish. And you drift down past the rigs and cast out these big lures, top water, skip across the top for tuna fish, yellowfin tuna, prize tuna. You get blackfin too, but you know, we're going for yellowfin. I'm telling you, biggest one I see caught was about 150 pounds. Biggest one I caught, you're allowed to keep 3 yellowfin per trip. I caught an 80-pound, 90-pound, and 60-pounder, okay? And I caught the 60-pounder on 40-pound test line. People said, don't do it, you're gonna break, you lose all your line. I said, it's a challenge. I like tackle. I hooked him. He pulled me down to nothing. I turned him. I got him in. Big old 60-pound yellowfin tuna, you know. And we don't even count blackfin tuna out there. In Florida, blackfin tuna is a big deal. Off Texas, those trips, we probably brought home 400 blackfin tuna. Nobody wanted them. They're on the dock. Take people to take them if you wanted to. Guys would pick them up to go feed their hogs with the blackfin tuna. There's so many. Everybody wanted the prized yellowfin tuna, okay? I don't have a picture of the yellowfin. I held them up like this, the 90-pounder, okay? But after we go out, nighttime fish, nighttime for yellowfin tuna, blackfin tuna, will come in to about 500 feet, yeah, shallow, 500 feet, or a drop off and fish for bottom fish in the daytime, right? Now you're using probably spider wire or Dacron. That's about 100-pound test and 200-pound leader, right? And man, you're so far out there, there's no pressure on the fishing. This is a 10-hour trip out there. You can't have a bunch of fish, bunch of boats out there, you know. So the fishing is so good at that far out. Only the boat's about 150 foot, and a few guys go out there, so there's no pressure. You know, I've seen a 300-pound snowy grouper caught out there. I caught amberjacks that were 60, 80 pounds. I've seen 90-pound amberjack caught. I got busted off so many times. I don't think they were sharks either. You know, you fight them, and they break the line, you know, on some of these fish down because they're so deep, okay? And you fight, they really pull you in, man, and they'll break you off. 200-pound leader, and they'll break you off. We don't think they were sharks. You know, there are big fish out there in these deep waters, okay? A lot of big fish out there. I just love the fight from a 60-pound amberjack. I saw a 90-pounder come up. You know, this is an AJ, amberjack, okay? Get a 20-pounder in Florida, you think you're excited about that, all right? Anyway, so this is kind of a background on my fishing. You know, love it. And red snapper, you want red snapper? People start going to the Keys for red snapper. Go off Texas for red snapper. We'll go out there red snapper season, anchor up. You could fish 7 hours straight, and you keep catching red snapper. You know, I remember back then you only allowed 2 per day or 3 per day. We would cull. You know what cull is? You keep catching them, and you get a bigger one. You give it away to somebody else and try to get 2 big, huge red snapper. This is one day, right? Check this out. One day, 2 I brought in. It sucked because you would kill so many of them. You know, you get some small 16-inch, which are legal. You don't want them. You throw them back in the water. What they do, they float up. You see them floating up sometimes down, you know, by the boat. People throw them back in because you want a bigger one, right? You want a 10-pounder, you know, 8-pounder, you know. So you throw the small one back in, and most times they die. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, if you're a commercial fisherman, you can keep all these, but if you're, you know, recreational fisherman, you can eat 2, and so you cull, and you throw the small one back in, try to get the big ones, you know. And also, even though in Florida we stopped getting those big mangrove snapper, you know, when you go off the coast of Texas for those big red snappers, we would catch these huge mangrove snapper. I mean, mangrove snapper this big or more. Sometimes you can see them in the current when we you know, chum for them. You know, chum for red snapper, you get these huge mangrove snapper that come up in the chum, you see them there. Sometimes you get them. They're spooky. Sometimes you get them. Huge mangrove snapper. I mean, sometimes 6, 7, 8, 9 pounds, you know. Yeah, so fishing is great. I love it. My dream was to retire, live on the ocean, get another boat and fish almost every day, okay? I'm still young enough. It's still my dream. So hopefully I move to Cartagena this year or next year, next year or the year after, or I just maybe I can get a 6-month lease here and then go mid next year. I don't know. It's still my goal. Get a car when I'm there so I can travel up and down the coast, find all the fishing spots, and enjoy my life. Okay? So guys, if you like fishing, give me some comments down here. Give me a thumbs up, and see you in the next video. So here goes some pictures. So when I moved to Houston, Texas, I lived on Lake Olympia. Nice house on the lake, which the wife now has, which I paid for. But anyway, it's right a suburb of Houston. And this lake was full of fish, you know. And it's right in the backyard. I come from work, I go fish. Before I go to work sometime, get up 6:30 and go fish. That's some big bass in that. I've seen like a 8-pound came out of that lake. After it dried up a couple of times, then the fish were kind of, you know, wasn't there as much. But I caught some of these huge catfish. Check this one out. 55-pound catfish, lake record right behind my back, all right? And I caught a bunch of 20-pounders, 10-pounders, 15-pounders. One day I caught 8 over 20 pounds. I don't eat them at all. I don't eat catfish, any kind of freshwater fish. But my neighbor, he came over and he had a great time. He cooked them up, okay? And check this out. This is what I call a Texas-sized trout, sea trout. Huge. You get these in the spring. They're not uncommon. I've seen them a lot bigger than this. You know, nice sized trout, all right? And when I took my boat to the ship channel in Galveston, this is my average day fishing, right? Check this out. This is an average day. You know, lots of redfish, lots of trout, especially sand trout, the smallest sand trout. You can get, you know, 50 of those if you wanted to. No limit on those, but they're kind of a pain because they're real small. But it tastes good. And in the winter time when the what do you call it, the flounder run, oh man, flounders are good. You get a lot of trout. I mean, nice sized flounders. Nice sized flounders. Okay. Alaska, this big old halibut, 96-pounder. I've caught many. I usually go for about 3 days. And you caught a bunch of halibut, man. And another fish, I think it's called ling, really ugly looking fish, but tasty. I have a picture of it right now. And yellow-eyed rockfish, beautiful yellow-eyed rockfish. They're huge, reddish orange color with yellow eyes. Beautiful fish, okay? A lot of fish, I don't want pictures of those from Alaska. So, Boyd Inlet, this nice snook I caught. I love snook fishing. I fish snook all the time. One of the best. They fight like crazy, and they taste good. It's called robalo here, okay? Here's the nice one I caught. And this was Boyd Inlet, I think. I caught a bunch in Palm Beach Inlet on my boat. This was on the land at the Boynton Inlet, changing tide. This actually turned the floated swan back a little too big. All right. My apartment in Miami right here. Okay. I live right downtown Bayside. You can see the ocean. You can see the bay rather. It's about 5 minutes over the bridge to Miami Beach. And in the springtime, these nice trout will be right in front of the apartment. I mean, you go out there in the morning before you go to work, get up 6 o'clock, go catch some trout, you know, take them home, put them in the fridge till you come back from work, cook them up, you know. I mean, in the springtime, these are all spawning trout. They're full of eggs, you know. Spawning trout, they're aggressive, they're big, and they are great to eat. I mean, Miami was great. So that's probably it. My son, I taught him to fish. My son was probably 4 years old when we lived in West Palm Beach on a lake again. Walk across the street, the lake was right there. He caught like a 5-pound bass when he was probably 4 or 5 years old. Remember that. He loves to fish now too, not as much as me. Get older and get a little lazy. But anyway, that's it, man. Love to fish.